Hello, friends, and welcome to the Virtual Strangers review discussion of No Limits 2 Roller Coaster Simulation. This is a roller coaster simulation application available on Steam for $40. It was published on August 21st, 2014, adapted later for VR, developed by Oli Lang and published by Mad Data GmbH and Company. Roots, you chose this as something that you wanted to discuss this week. Fill everybody in on why.
Well, main thing I was blown away. You were saying that there's no good roller coaster things in VR, and I was saying, wow, he's never tried No Limits 2 then because I get it. Like I even went into that new one this last couple days ago that just came out, Epic Fun or something. It's free one came out, even has shooting stuff where you can shoot just like Rush of Blood, and it's nowhere good as Rush of Blood, but and it was just hokey. It was just like every other free roller coaster or any roller coaster that I played in VR. And what makes this one so good is it's all realistic. It's a simulator, it's a simulation. It's not a game. They literally use this software to build roller coasters. I think you were saying that you like watch a lot of YouTube videos about Kings Island and new roller coasters coming out, and they design it and they put it out on YouTube, and it's just like this. And it's like getting to zoom in and ride on this the rides. It's just to me, it's a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, I think that we pretty much nailed it right there. I think that application wasn't originally intended to be for entertainment purposes. This is a modeling application. This is a roller coaster creator with realistic physics, realistic sound effects. It's by far the most realistic roller coaster sim I've ever been in. Um, but again, not well. At least at first, I wasn't impressed with it all that much from an entertainment standpoint. Uh, I basically just tried a few of the built-in, baked-in, default coasters that it comes with, and it was largely disorienting in VR. Uh, Mainly, I mean, it's debatable why. I think that it was due to the speed of it. It caused a lot of eye strain for me, and even though I could appreciate the realistic sound and it did feel like a real coaster in a lot of ways, I didn't really enjoy it the way I've enjoyed some other VR roller coasters that were built for entertainment. But again, uh, this thing came out in 2014. I don't think it was intended for this kind of use. So just the fact that we have something like this in VR to experience is remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoy it. I know we were talking earlier about how you were some of the things you didn't feel like that gut feeling where you're going down and stuff. And there's some roller coasters here, like the one I had you try, where you're hanging and you're flipping and spinning and doing all sorts of stuff. And I thought it made me feel like I was on a roller coaster, especially doing the loop de loops. But I know this one thing I can tell people is if you do not have your VR legs, don't touch this with a VR pole, because you will get sick. I guarantee it. It's just one of those things where you're moving fast, and I love it. And one of the best aspects about this game, would you agree, is the workshop and the created content from the community.
Yeah, 100%. That is where, from an entertainment perspective, where this thing shines. I went back into it for a second session. My first session was completely uh, involving stock coasters. So, I went straight for the wooden
Like
ones,
this.
which uh, which was, was my favorite in real life. I love the wooden coasters, but those were the most uncomfortable from the stock collection. Then I went to the steel coasters, and those actually worked a bit better. And I'm trying to understand why in my head. And I think a lot of it has to do with in real life, when you ride a wooden coaster, it's always shaking you and rattling you around. Where if you ride a steel coaster, uh, it's very smooth. It's a smooth ride, something more akin to what you get sitting in your chair in VR. So immediately I noticed that the steel coasters felt more comfortable. Uh, Even beyond that, there's a park that you can walk through that has like carnival rides, and those were the best part of the stock experience. The carnival rides, I really could feel the movement. They moved at a slower speed, which I think had a lot to do with it. They moved at a slower speed, so I did really feel the movement a lot in those.
Mm.
And then when I went into went in for the second time today, I did all user created stuff, and it was all great. Pretty much everything I tried was awesome. It was stuff that you recommended, and then on top of that, I searched for some of my favorite rides from Kings Island, found them and tried them out, and very much got a similar feeling that I got from riding them in real life. So definitely, 100% agree with you. The workshop is where it's at.
Yeah. So tell people where you just were on your vacation this couple days ago and where you go every year. Is roller coasters, going to Kings Island, right? And so, like, literally, you just I'm just saying this. You just went on these wooden roller coasters, right? And I could see where that would be. Like the big part of it is the shaking, the noise, the everything, like the speed. And so, maybe for somebody that isn't, on a lot of roller coasters, done a lot in my life, but it's been a while since I've been on them. So maybe that's part of it as well. But I just think this has got the best potential to feel like you're really on a roller coaster. Like even the way that they look really good in the tracks and everything in there. And I'm really impressed with this game. Now, what do you think about the price on this game? Like especially.
If I think if you're a coaster buff, that it's 100% worth it. I mean, there are over 2,000 user created tracks on this thing, and I'm sure a lot of them are garbage. But what you're saying here is true. This uh, there's a lot here that is top notch from a realism perspective. The tracks look real. The sound effects sound real. They have you watch the tracks and all the little components like the brakes. When you hit the brakes, it sounds like it should sound when you hit the brakes. Uh, when you get latched into your seat, when the locking mechanisms lock, all of that stuff is realistic, and for what it lacks in sensation, there's always that disconnect. It really makes up for in every other department, except for the surrounding area, like the woods, the trees, the vegetation. All that looks super fake. But when you're going 60 miles an hour down one of these things, you don't really notice it.
Yeah, and I guess it's like an after thing from what I was reading. You have to port it in from a different program, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, I definitely think that this game is, or I guess simulator is worth checking out. I would like it being more of a sale, but I guess from what I read, the 20% is the highest that anybody's ever seen it on sale. So if you're waiting on a sale and you see 20%, I'd jump on it because it's not going to go any lower than that. So
I'll tell you where this thing would absolutely shine, and it's not very it's not something that you're going to run into very often, if at all. In a location based setting, someone who has money to invest in creating a VR arcade if you were to connect this thing up with a Field 3 motion simulator, and for those of you who don't know what that is, look it up. It's a 6-axis or 8-axis full motion simulator that's used for flight sims. It's used for racing sims, and I can see very well where it would work perfectly in conjunction with this. If you put this program with one of those motion simulators with a Valve Index with the high 120 hertz frame rate and a top of the line computer with a high level graphics card, I think that you could build a very believable experience from what they have here, because again the ride design and everything about it is 100% realistic, and I think that the failures that I experienced in it is more of a failure of equipment than a failure on the part of the software.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I mean, the software definitely is top notch on here, and so you're saying more, it'd be more like, and we were talking about Rush of Blood, right? And you were saying that that's a little bit more believable to you, and we were debating whether it could be the speed of it, or we were debating maybe it's 120 hertz. I don't know that it is, but I could see a case where that would make this even more immersive, right? And
Yeah, yeah. What I was saying specifically about Rush of Blood is that I feel the movement better in that game than I do in this simulation. This is way more realistic as far as the rides go, and the whole look and feel of it, or the look and sound of it. But when I'm moving down the very short roller coaster sections on the Rush of Blood track, I feel the movement in my knees. I feel it in my stomach. Whereas in this, all I really felt as this thing took off, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, what I really felt was eye strain. And again, I think that could be a failure on the part of my computer or maybe the headset. I'd really like to try this thing in the Index on 120 hertz and keep the super sampling down so that there are some extra resources available, and see if it were to feel any better than it did. Again, the inverted tracks where you're moving through and you don't see the track, I felt the movement with those very well, and with the carnival rides and the ground based rides, I felt it strong with those too. It's just your basic conventional roller coasters that I'm looking at the track as I go. Those more just disoriented me and gave me eye strain than any kind of sensation of movement.
yeah, I didn't have any eye strain, or of course I wasn't looking at the track as much. Maybe that's because I've been in it so much. But I wish we knew somebody that had an Index, that had access to this game, that watches this show, that used to be on the show, that could let us know what it looks like at 120 hertz. So how about it there, buddy, Mamefan or Alex? Let us know in the comments or Discord. Is it better at 120? Do a little research. I wish I had the Index to do it myself. So
Yeah, I think in most cases that difference in frame rate doesn't make a difference, but I think in something like this, with this fast movement, I think it absolutely could make a difference, and I'd be very interested to find out.
Yeah, I really. So that's one thing I definitely at some point will be getting the Index, and I will check it out. Because there's no reason not to get it outside of the controllers, and once they fix it, I probably will. So.
Yeah, I think that was really my biggest disconnect, because I have been on hundreds and hundreds of roller coaster rides, and when I see the things that my eyes are seeing and hear the things that my ears are hearing, my body expects certain sensations to be going on, and I think that that's why the steel coasters were a bit more comfortable than the wooden coasters, and the inverted rides were even more comfortable than that. And I think that the frame rate definitely plays into that, because in real life it's unlimited frames. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's just another another aspect of a greater effect that lacks on some of these rides, and where so more on some than others, I should say.
Yeah, I agree.
But definitely an entertaining uh, an entertaining program. Once you get into the Steam Workshop and the user created tracks, the, uh, the quality level actually significantly increases because that's where people's creativity starts to shine, and it's really interesting to go through some of these things. They have different themes. It's not just all about the coasters themselves. Once you get into the user created stuff, they have different themes and things that you can go through and walk through these parks, and it's really interesting. And I enjoyed that aspect of it a whole lot.
Yeah, you said there was some that was like almost like a haunted house almost, or kind of, I don't know, the one that I went through was good, but the second one was better. And yeah, so I kind of like I like that, you know, it's not just the roller coaster, it's the walk up there. You're going through the hallways and there's, you know, Michael Myers standing there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Even though that particular one had like 15-year-old PC VR, or not PC VR, but flat gamer PC level graphics. It was really enjoyable because it did have a cool 3D effect. It was like flat images in 3D,
Yeah.
and
And the ride was
it
cool.
really,
If the ride sucked, I would have been like, "This is shit." But I got on the ride and I was like, "Wow, that was really cool." And that's why I recommended it to you, because it's like, "Wow, this is right up at Wes's alley." So,
yeah, you should definitely try the sequel because everything you liked about the first one is improved upon in the
oh
sequel.
wow, see, I didn't even know the sequel's out there, so I need to check it out.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we need to wrap it up here. I think that it's that we're fairly close on what we think here. I think Roots is a little more bullish on it than I am. What I will say is this: it is 100% the most realistic roller coaster simulation that I've ever experienced, and it's not even close. Even though there are flaws, there are things that I feel could be improved upon. For anyone who is a roller coaster buff, such as myself, I think that it's absolutely worth the $40 price tag, just because of the sheer volume of user created content on here and the level of quality I experienced in my short amount of time in there. So I recommend, for me, with that one caveat, uh, if you're in the roller coasters already, it's definitely something you want to check out. And I'll add that there is a free demo available to you on there, so you do not have to go drop the 40 to see what this is like. You can go download that demo and check it
Yeah,
out.
definitely. That you should do. If you don't do that, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you.
Final verdict, Roots.
Final verdict for me is definitely, I would say, probably a lot easier to buy at $20, but I think it was worth $40 to me. I've already put in enough time that I keep going back into it. I keep, every time I want to go on a roller coaster, so it's worth it, I think. So,
I'll tell you this. We go to, like you said, we go to Kings Island nearly every year, multiple times. We're season pass holders. We go up there a lot. Um, I rode some. I looked up in the Steam Workshop. I looked up the Beast, which is my favorite roller coaster ever. It's the world's longest wooden roller coaster. At least it was. It may have been surpassed in the last year or two. I don't keep up with it like that. But I found three user created versions of it. And in different ways, each one of them captured uh, part of the feeling that you get riding the beast very accurately. And the ability to relive that and feel that from my bedroom here is priceless, because it brings back so many memories I have with my children and my wife and my friends, and it's worth it just for that alone. So if you're like me and someone who frequents these amusement parks, more than likely you're going to find some version of your favorite ride in here, and more than likely it's going to be very well done.
well, what I like about that aspect is the fact that each one is like if you think about it, when somebody's creating these, they're doing it from their memory, you know, and they're trying to get it as close as they can, but you can only get as close as you can in your mind and what your experience was. So each one of those three is like three different people's version of it, of how they remembered it. And so I think that from an artistic standpoint is just really cool to think about. So that alone makes me want to go back and play it when we finish filming. And it's like really early in the morning. So
Yeah, it's kind of like a different way of a different form of art appreciation. It's like you're getting to see three different uh, persons' interpretations of a work created by someone else. Only you get to experience it through from a first person perspective, thanks to the magic of virtual reality.
yeah, and the community is so awesome for this. So yeah, I'd say I guess my verdict just went to, you have to get this or you're stupid. No, but it's definitely worth getting, I think, for sure.
Yeah, there's enough. While not perfect, there's enough here for any amusement park. Anyone who frequents amusement parks, anyone who loves roller coasters, should check this out. Those of you out there who are game developers who are making these amusement park games like Summer Funland, you should look at this, because this is the type of thing that you need to be building into your game. Not only should there be multiplayer support in those type of games, but there should be attractions like these. And if users, you know, people who are complete laymen's in the sense of game programming can make rides like this, certainly people who are trained game developers should be able to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so I guess that's going to wrap up our talk on No Limits 2. Have you tried it out? Would you like to? Be sure to leave a comment down below, and if you've liked this video, click that thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to keep up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, we'd like to thank you for watching, friends, and for Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Easy.